So after you finish setting up your machine, you actually have to then square the machine. And this is something you do at the end of setup, and also it might be something that you do down the road, a year or two down the road, depending on if you move the machine. Some squaring might be necessary. So I'm just going to go through the general process of how to square the machine. So first you take a sheet of, say, foam board or corrugated plastics. Could be about 48 by 48, something a fair size. Slide it into the machine, and usually I like to get it so that it's at least half of it's over this screw, and then with the clamp it down. Make sure it's all nice and flat on the edge of the machine there. Now what I do is I take my 1/2-inch blade and put it into the cutting head. And make sure that my material is clamped in with my clamp. And I'm going to make just a little slit about 2 inches at the bottom, and then I'm going to make another slit at the top 2 inches. Bring your head down, and then I'm going to unclamp and take the material out and then flip it around front to back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this bottom cut that I did with the blade. So take your bottom cut you did there, take your blade and line it up so that it's perfectly in line with the first cut you did in the bottom. And then what you're going to do is you're going to clamp the material. Now when you go to cut the second cut at the top, if you're square, your first cut would follow the line of your second cut will follow the line of your first cut. So let's see what happens in this case. So I go to do a second cut up at the top. Now you'll see, if you look at the top, that second cut is to the left of that. So that machine is not square. And basically that just means that this ledge needs to be adjusted there. So what I do is take out the material. And when you first set up the machine, these screws here in the instructions were told to leave them loose. You don't adjust this one. This is your pivot here, so this is what the ledge pivots on, so you leave those loose. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down here, and because your second cut was to the left, that means you have to lower the ledge. If your second cut was to the right of your original cut, that means you have to raise the ledge. So in this case, we have to lower the ledge. And it was just about 1/4 of an inch. So what I do here is, because these are loose, I just take the knob on the end here, and I'm just rotating it counterclockwise, and you'll see it starts to move down the ledge. And sometimes you could put a little pen line in there just to show where you originated from, and you just go down to the distance of where you think that difference is of those two cuts. So I'm going to leave it right about there, and I'm going to take my Allen key and I'm going to tighten up these screws. There's 1, 2, 3, and then this one here is a different size Allen key, so you take this one and then you take a pair of pliers and tighten it up. There. Now, if you repeat the process with your foam board, take your piece, put it inside, and kind of find a different position for it and do the same test. So I'm going to do a small cut at the bottom, a small cut at the top, unclamp it, rotate it front to back, and line up that first cut with your blade and then reclamp it. Now take your cutter. Now if you go to the top there and you go to make your cut, now I'm perfectly in line with that second cut. That means that the machine is square.